You made it. Okay, your microphone is muted.
Download a show. Hello haters, definite friends of bosses, man. Download a show. Hello haters, definite friends of bosses.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul like me. I once was lost and now am found, was blind but now I see.
Hi, guys. Let me get it up here to the comments so I can see. Hey, I know. Yeah, it's one of my favorite hymns also. But that's a gift just in case anyone has a prayer request. Please, let me know. And there's many prayer warriors here in the chat. And you can message me privately if you have a prayer request. And but good to see everyone. Good to see everyone. All right, we'll go over the announcements first before we bring on our special guest. I can see him backstage. All right. Tomorrow is the camp out at Michaud State Park in Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, I will not be attending. I'm just not feeling up to it. And I'll wait until the end of the podcast before I get into that, just in case anyone has any questions, because I know there were some people not happy that I wasn't attending, and I'm so sorry that I can't. I wish I could, really wish I could, but I can't. Anyway, save your questions regarding that to the end. Also, let's see. We have prayer requests for quite a few different people, and that I received in different from a few weeks ago as well as last week. So we'll keep all of you in our prayers. And let me see, what else do we have? There's various. Let me go back here in my notes. Let's see, we have another camp out that I pray that I'll be healthy enough to get to, because this one is closer to home at the very least, so it'll be better for me. The other one is 5 hours away, and my health just won't put up with that drive. Oh, Melvin. Oh, okay, great. Send me a message or send me an email if you want. If you're on Facebook, so send me a private message and give me your address, and I'll send you all the information on how to order my book. That way I can autograph it for you. And let's see what else. All right, our next camp out is let me see, June 19 through the 22nd. That's going to be held at the Allegheny National Forest. I'm not going to get in. I won't say which campground it's at. You have to join the group, Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project. We're on Facebook. If you are not on Facebook, send me an email or a private message, and I'll get that information to you. You're welcome, Melvin. I appreciate any interest in anyone wanting to buy the book. And here it is, just in case anyone else is interested in purchasing a copy. I can autograph it directly to you. Oh, okay. Tara is messaging me. She's saying she's going to be able to watch the podcast. She'll be jumping on in the chat pretty soon. All right, let's see, what else do we have? There are various festivals, conferences through the summer that I'll be speaking at. Primarily, the very first one is June 6, 7, and 8. That is the Forest County Bigfoot Festival. That's in Marionville, Pennsylvania. That's in the Allegheny National Forest also. And I will be speaking on June 7th at 11 a.m. So I do know what time. Thank you. Thank you, Todd. I appreciate it. Yeah, they are. They really are. And I regret that I can't make it to this one for this weekend. But again, I'll address that issue at the end of the podcast. Let's see, do we have anything else? I think that's about it. We're kind of zipping through things here. Okay, I know I had written down an introduction for our guest. I can't remember where I wrote it though. But our guest, okay, he keeps, okay. Let me get our guest on before we lose him again. Hi, Dave.
Well, hello there. Sitting
All
in
right.
my easy chair again.
Yes. Now, Dave was on, we did a little test run the other evening, and it turned into, what, an hour or something like that, which was nice. It was a surprise. But I wanted to get
Yeah,
Dave.
surprised I got on.
No, I'm glad that you
Are
were
you
able
still
to
there?
make it this evening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
can you see?
you're for some reason we're fading. I don't know if it's my end or your end. So I can hear
Yeah.
you.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. Well, tell you what, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Well, I'm Dave Wargo. Some old guy that runs around the woods looking for imaginary creatures. Of course, we know they're not imaginary, but I've been chasing them around since 1974 when I seen my first one when I was 16 years old. And over the years, had several sightings, lots of experiences. Ended up moving up here near the Allegheny National Forest in Pennsylvania after I retired. And we're still having some fun. We're still getting a lot of action, so to speak. This area is really, really active for our Sasquatch friends. We had I was on Finding Bigfoot with one of the sightings I had back in 2013. And since that show, because I do festivals, speak at festivals along with Mary and some others. Well, anyway, since I've been on that show, I've had over 370 people tell me that they have seen what they believe to be Sasquatch in the Allegheny National Forest area. Southern tier of New York. I live on the New York, Pennsylvania border on the Pennsylvania side, thank God. And the Seneca Nation is another pretty good hot spot for us up here. But and then we have all kinds of fun things. We not only Sasquatch, but we have spirit lights, and we have Seneca little people, and we have UFOs, and so we're usually running into something strange, checking things out. I've only experienced the Sasquatch, UFOs, and um, the spirit lights in Sasquatch, but I've never had the chance to see a Seneca little person, as they call them up here. But it's a lot of fun,
It really
and
is.
we get into we get into some misadventures. I hang around with Mary sometimes, and we just fall into stuff. We have a little group of us that hang together, and one of our hot spots up here in the National Forest, and there's always something going on somewhere around here. Been quiet at my place. I'm like I said, I'm on a New York Pennsylvania border, Conowongo Creek Valley, and it's been quiet here. Other than for my, I think I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned the last show, it had a wolf howling, and
Oh.
it's not a wolf. It's a wolf. It's like a classical wolf howl. I'm pretty sure it's a wolf. Hopefully, it's not a Dogman, but it's really deep, really. I mean, it sounds just like a wolf. It's not no coyote. I've never heard coyote sound like this. And I've heard it about 3 times now. My neighbor also heard it, and so we're keeping an eye out. We haven't had any sightings of anything. I live on the Akeley Swamp, so I have 80 acres, 23 tillable, and the rest is the Great Akeley Swamp, which is fine with me. All kinds of creatures, and hardly anybody gets back in that swamp. Duck season, you get some guys back in there, and sometimes during deer season. But the swamp that I have is pretty primeval. It is, I guess I tell everybody, it looks like Yoda's home planet. Well, I believe it was Dagobah.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and that's what my swamp looks like, some of it, and it's pretty much impassable. There's quicksand back there, and what I call quick mud, which will get a hold of you and will not get let loose of you. You leave your boots or your waders behind. So it's getting pretty dangerous back there. So we have a lot of cool creatures that come out of the swamp once in a while, and we get to see them in our backyard here. But vocalizations are the norm here. A friend of ours, Todd's been here a couple of times when I had wood knocks and vocalizations, and I'll be sleeping and I'll be awakened by a scream or a yell. My favorite one was last year. I call it my Tarzan yell. I never heard one like it before. I tell everybody, think of Johnny Weissmiller.
Yeah.
With his famous yodel, except this thing is not up and down the scale. It's like maybe a 2-note yodel, but it's very musical, and it sounds like somebody singing. It's really cool, and I heard that last year, and I haven't heard it since. But I don't know what it's just so loud. It was on a creek. It was whatever it was only probably 60, 70 yards from the house. I have a little creek just north of me, and it was coming down that creek bottom. And the window was open. It woke me up, and I just got the last part of it, and it woke me up, and I just sat up in bed, and then I heard the second yodel, clear as day. And then, of course, I went out on the porch with the FLIR and got the. I didn't see anything. That's about all I got. Just a little FLIR scope, and I don't have any recorders, not any cameras out as of yet.
Yeah.
Not that we've had much success with cameras. But
Yeah, we have a question here. How many acres of swamp?
it's about we got about 23 tillable, and the rest of the 80 acres is swamp. Some of the primeval stuff, some of it's cattails. We got beaver ponds. Some of it cattails. Some of it thick marshy brush. Let's see, Dave, have you seen a Dogman? No, I haven't. I did see something that I thought might have been. So I was on my back porch with my FLIR, and I heard a wood knock at the corner of my property. It was only like 60, 70 yards from the house. And I could hear something in the brush down there. And I'm old, crippled, can't run very well. So I jumped. I have a little Jeep, a little 89 Jeep Wrangler with no top on it. That's my warm weather cruiser, and it was summertime. So I jumped in that, went out, jumped in that, and drove it down to the bottom of the property. So I'm looking around with my FLIR. Unfortunately, I had it on the wrong setting. I caught something, but you can't make out what it was. But basically what I saw through the FLIR was something upright walking the other way. And I have a problem. I talk to everything. When I'm deer hunting, I'm talking to the deer. If I see a bear, I'll talk to the bear. I talk to squirrels. I'm just weird. So this thing's walking away from me, is about 70 yards away and going through my neighbor's backyard. And I said, "Hey, where are you going?" And it stopped. And I said, "Yeah, you." And it turned around and it started coming towards me. So it's pretty big, making a lot of noise. It wasn't quiet. And it got about maybe 50 yards away from me. And for whatever reason, I just had this feeling. It just Dogman. And I had a little pocket pistol with me, and I'm figured this thing's going to walk up to the Jeep. I'm sitting there with this little pistol. I was like, okay, if this goes kind of cattywampus, that little gun ain't going to do me no good. So I started up the Jeep and I ran back to the house, and I ran in the front door, went back out on the back porch with the FLIR, trying to look down there, but whatever it was did not come out into the open. So That's
Wow.
the only thing. I didn't really get a good look at it, but I just had this really terrified feeling. I never had that feeling before, especially with Sasquatches and stuff. So it didn't. It just spooked me. If I had more gun, I might have stuck around, but but I was nervous and I was by myself, and I didn't want to. I don't like pushing the boundaries when I want somebody to find my body, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But up here on the Seneca Nation, there's been so I've been here about 15 years, so I got about 10 reports of Dogman on the Seneca Reservation. Probably out of that, like 3 maybe are the Senecas themselves, and the rest are non-Seneca people traveling through the reservation. I participate in a little, it's called the Kinzu Heritage Festival, and that's mostly local people, and that's where I get a lot of my local stories. People come up and say, "Hey, Dave, how you doing?" This, that, and the other, and so I run into the Senecas there. That's where I usually touch base with them, and they were telling me that the latest sighting, that one was they were coming down the Onaville Road, which is on the New York side, just right along the reservoir there, and it guy and his girlfriend was the Seneca. They both were members of the nation. He noticed something next to the road, tugging on a deer. So they stopped to look to see what it was, and then it stood up, and he said it was a Dogman. It wasn't. It was kind of tall and kind of wiry looking. Its head was definitely like a wolf.
Wow.
He was guesstimating it around 6 to 7 foot tall. He said it happened real quick, and with his girlfriend screaming in his ear, kind of distracted him. And but the thing heard his girlfriend scream, stood up, and threw the deer over its shoulder. It was a roadkill deer, and scampered up a really steep hill into the brush with it.
Oh my.
So, but that'd be 2 years ago now that happened. But yeah, there's Dogman out. Like I said, I've never heard this wolf thing. I don't know what it is. It could be a wolf for all I know, because we got a lot of strange stuff going on.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. David's saying that about the Dogman reports, that too, and
Yeah.
so our wolves here in Pennsylvania do have wolf DNA in it, from what was surmised to me or told to me by a biologist, is that during the 70s we had some really bad winters for all of us old people around then, and Lake Erie almost totally froze over. And I lived in northern Ohio at that time, and we had a couple of wolf packs invade northern Ohio, and they were there for a few years before they ended up on the wrong side of a gun, because they have a fondness for chickens. So the farmers send them out quick. Station, they had their squad cars with it. It was a werewolf. They even that's funny. Actually,
Yeah. Wow.
I was considering maybe molding a few bullets just to have it. I've never had my handgun out when we're doing stuff. I haven't been terrified yet enough to have to get the weapon out.
Yeah.
I know Mary's had some instances, and a couple of friends of ours have had instances where they've been charged, rushed, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and pretty terrifying. I haven't run into a belligerent Bigfoot yet, other than rock throwing, which it's usually just pebbles. I haven't anything devastating thrown at me.
Yeah. Yeah. At our research area, I know that they'll throw pebbles at us, and just uh, try to get us to go away, or else get our
Just
attention, or
messing with us. I think
just
they're just
being,
messing.
yeah, just being plain ornery.
Yeah, our friend Todd Smith on his YouTube channel. There's one there. Was last summer we were there, and he's into doing DNA. samples off the windows and stuff. And he was doing his DNA stuff. He was filming himself, and I was sitting there because we could hear stuff in the woods. And he was working on the house, facing the house. I was sitting in a chair on the deck facing the woods with my FLIR. I didn't see anything, but I heard the first stone come in. It landed by Todd. And then we had another pebble come in. And then the third one came from a pretty good distance because I heard it coming down through the tree branches pretty far out. So they have pretty good aim for what they're doing. Maybe about the size of like a marble size, maybe dime size. Nothing. If it hit us, is going to hurt us. But the trajectory, they seem to be pretty high arch on the trajectory.
Yeah, they're pretty accurate, no matter what.
Yep.
They-
20 domestic dog. They're bigger and more wolf-like than Western coyotes. Yes, they are. I had one in the backyard. We have a big black one, and I never heard him. No, never heard a howl like that until this spring.
Yeah.
But my wife have seen it, and she swore to God it was a wolf. And I was about 15 feet away from it. I went out to get some firewood one night. I'm a night owl. Like sometimes I get some pain going, can't sleep, so I'll be running a wood stove. Or my favorite thing is to sit out. We have a balcony that overlooks the swamp, and I'll sit out on that balcony on the porch swing and just listen. But anyways, I was out getting firewood. I had a rabbit almost run up into me. I'm standing there under the porch, I had my spotlights on up on top, but I didn't have the porch light on. And the rabbit was running right for me, and it seen me at the last second and veered off and went underneath the wood pile. And around the corner of the house comes this, what I would call was a wolf. Very beautiful, was black. And he was after that rabbit. He was standing there in the wood pile. He didn't even see me. Then I said, "Hi, wolf." He looked at me. He was very pretty. But I don't know if it was a coy dog or a wolf.
Yeah.
What if we found out things flying around in these UFOs are actually Bigfoots? Well, I got a story for you. We had up here, it's over by Starbrick, Pennsylvania, which is on the Allegheny River. Up in the hills there, farm. This young girl that I worked with at the time I was working at a barbecue restaurant, and she had her rabbits raided. So the first time it happened, something opened and took the rabbits out of the cage. It didn't damage the cage. It manipulated the lock, and got the rabbits out. So the second batch of rabbits, they cut a hole in the side of the barn. They had the cages outside. So at night, what she would do with the rabbits would chase them indoors through the little rabbit door. And then it was like a cage outside and a cage inside. So she put them away for the night, chased them into the inside cage, and closed the little trap door that she had for them. And so she comes out, and the barn door is ajar. It's a man door, a regular door like you go in your house.
Mhm.
And it's ajar, it's open. And she went in, and her rabbits are gone. Now in the snow, it was snowing pretty hard. So there was human-like footprints. I got size 14 feet, 4E wide. They were a little bit longer than my feet, but they were heavily drifted over. There was any definition, no toes or anything, but definitely footprints. And so this thing came into the barn, come out of a gully near the house, came in, evidently grabbed the rabbits and took off and was heading up the hill with them. And on top of that hill, there is I believe it's a cornfield. Sometimes it's a hay field. It depends whatever the farmer plants that year.
Mhm.
So it's wintertime, and there's about 2 or 3 inches of snow, and me and a friend of mine are tracking this thing. And so we track it. It goes on the edge of the woods. We find rabbit heads. There was 6 rabbits. We found 6 heads. Nothing else. Just 6 rabbit heads laying in the snow. So this thing evidently was eating the rabbits, evidently didn't want to eat the heads for whatever reason, and just threw it on the ground. So anyways, it takes off walking again, and it's in this big field. And we're tracking the tracks, and we get the nearest edge of the field was 300 or 400 yards away, and the tracks just stop in the middle of this field. They're just there, and like they just disappeared. So we were laughing that maybe the local green guy stopped and say, "Hey, there's Harry. Let's pick him up, take him for a ride." I don't know. Maybe they're their pets. Little kids sometimes, when I'm telling stories, they get scared. And what do you think, Bigfoot? Are the monster? They're going to eat us, And I said, no, I don't think so. I said, there's some stories where some stuff like that happened, but most of the stuff I have encountered hasn't been belligerent.
Yeah.
And I said, well, where do you think it come from? And we're talking. So, think of this. Maybe it's UFOs. It's their pet, like a dog. And they go, oh, let's stop over to Earth and let them go potty. And they let them out. And then they get away, where's the Bigfoot? Well, he got away. Well, didn't you have him on the leash? No. And this just sounds like, you've heard people talk about their dogs getting away when they're on vacation and stuff.
Yes.
So maybe that's what they're doing. I don't know. We do have a lot of spirit light activity when we have Bigfoot activity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our one hotspot and another one of our friend Todd's is just craziness. We don't know what we're seeing or what we're experiencing. But usually when there's spirit light activity, sometimes not too far behind is some other stuff.
Yep.
Closest you feel you have physically came to a Sasquatch. Well, the closest that I purposely, when I saw him and tried walking up to him, was 30 feet. He was on the other side of a big rose bush. And I saw him, and he knew I saw him. And I have this thing, I carry a candy bar. And my thing is I'm going to give him a Snickers bar and try to befriend him, which a lot of people say don't do. But anyways, Barry said no. So I walked up, I saw him there, and I walked up. I unwrapped the candy bar, had it in my left hand, and I went walking up to him, like with the candy bar in front of me. And I probably only got maybe 2 or 3 steps. He turned around and he took off. So he didn't want anything to do with me. So, but hey, okay, guest listening in, please pray for my health. Thank you.
We will.
Little twisted blessings.
Yes.
Yeah, I usually have a handgun on me, and me and Mary, we figure they know what handguns are, what a firearm is.
Yeah.
And we don't know if they can smell the gun oil or just maybe they just read like, this guy is not afraid. What's going on, But the closest I've been physically to a Sasquatch was I had a March 2013 Finding Bigfoot and Redhead episode. They filmed my crossing. They screwed it up pretty good, but they got most of it right.
Yeah.
So I had a Bigfoot come out of the Allegheny River one morning at 6:30 morning, real foggy morning, step over a guardrail, cross in front of the van that I was driving. I was working for Allegheny Outfitters. And I was going down to Tidiute to pick some people up, take them up to the dam and drop them off. And they're going to paddle back down the river and stay on the islands camping, a 2 or 3 day trip. So anyways, had my equipment. I'm coming down the road, and sure enough, here comes this thing. There's a game trail right there, the tip of Thompson's Island. It'll be the northern tip of Thompson's Island. And so there's always animals in the road, squashed or something standing there or something. So I was coming up a little hill, a little bit of a curve, and I always slow down because there's usually something there I'd have to dodge or something. And here comes this thing walking out of the river. I hit the brakes, crossed about 15 yards, not at 15 yards, 15 feet in front of the van. I mean, he was close.
Ooh.
And so he was walking. It only took him about 3 steps across that 20-foot road clearing there from ditch to ditch.
Yeah.
So he was right in front of me, and I'm sitting in a 1-ton van. In that seat, my eyes are about 6 feet off the ground. He crossed in front of me, and I had to take my hat off and lean over and look up at him to see the side of his head.
Huh.
I was guessing he was 8 to 9 feet tall, maybe taller. I'm not sure. It just happened so quick. And so he walked in front of me, and I pulled up, and I was looking at him. He was going up the hill. And so he was in the ditch, so he was maybe 15 feet away from me. And I was looking at his hind end. I could see the muscles in his legs, in his butt, in his back, shoulders. It was really, really cool. It was, that was a guy in a ghillie suit. No, it wasn't. Plus, I don't know any 8 or 9 foot guys running around here. Sure, we would remember them if we saw them.
Yeah.
But the main thing is, when I ran into in Ohio, they have a smell. And I tell everybody it's like the worst unwashed person you had in front of you at Walmart, homeless person or something. I know that doesn't sound very politically correct, but that's basically, dirtiest, nastiest person you ever had.
Yeah.
The unpleasant of being in the same vicinity with them, a pleasantness, I guess. But it smells like that, like a unwashed, dirty person with a little bit more skunky odor to it. And that's what I smelled. He was going up the hill. So that was the shady side of the hill that morning on the mountain. So your thermals come down, the cool air comes down the mountain. It blew the smell right to me. I'm sitting in the van and I could smell it. And I saw him. And it was really cool. And I'm thinking, yeah, and about 15 minutes later, I remember I had a cell phone on me that I could have took a picture. But at that time, I just didn't think. I just couldn't.
No.
I didn't even think about the phone. I was just trying to take in everything that I was seeing and trying to make sense of it.
Yeah. And that's usually the way it goes. People say, oh, you have a camera. Why didn't you take a picture? You're experiencing it. That's the last thing that you're thinking. You're in shock.
Well, I liken it to hunting. So you're walking, you're gonna shoot something. Okay, here comes a pheasant. He jumps up at your feet. Total surprises you. Totally, you're looking for this thing, and there's one around there. You can see tracks in the snow.
Mm-hmm.
He jumps up and it startles you, and it takes practice to be able to hit a flying bird, and it just happens so quick. And you're just, even if you're prepared, you're not prepared.
No.
And I tell everybody, well, think about all the times you've taken pictures in the old days when we had 35 millimeter film or stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You might take 10 pictures and only one turns out. And you're taking a picture of family member posing for you. Not, yeah.
Right.
Yep. Blue-eyed northern, you're never prepared, period. Well, and it's the shock too. There's the shock value. When you might be looking for them and it's like right there and you're like, ah. We had you ever believe any sightings? Traumatized. Locally here, my wife told me I was pretty shook up. So I was at a party. I wasn't drinking, and I was coming home. It was like 11, 12 o'clock at night, and I'm in my open Jeep. And I'm coming around this corner, and this is a field about a mile from my house. And I come around the corner, and I see corn husks, or corn, whole plants of corn too, flying across the road. I'm going, what the heck is going on? So I get up there where I saw the corn be thrown across the road, and out of the corner of my eye, I see this big shadow. Basically, this thing was swinging its arms side to side, grabbing corn plants breaking off corn plants and throwing them across the road for whatever reason. And I looked real quick and it's like, what the heck is that? And then here comes incoming corn, pop me in the head and knock my glasses, didn't knock them off, but half askew, So I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I pull up the nearest little lane and I don't know what I'm dealing with or who I'm dealing with. So I get my handgun out of my glove box and I set it on the passenger seat and I drive back up to where it was. And I turned the Jeep sideways in the road. It's a rural road. And started my headlights and I could see there was 3 of them and just 3 shadows just running into the corn. So, but that night I was pretty shook up because I didn't know what I was seeing. Number one, I didn't think Bigfoot until after this happened. And then when we were looking at the corn, there's no way a person can grab and snap a corn husk with their hands. Not a husk, but the corn plant itself. It's
Now,
pretty
when
vibrant.
did this happen?
Oh boy, that was probably 8 or 9 years ago. It was pretty long ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was one other experience that I had here. I've had snow tracks here. Nothing too good. Nothing real definable. That one snow track at Richard Robbins is probably the best track I've ever found. Snow track. It was perfect. It was perfect. And but just tracks, imprints, what I call imprints, big flat imprints in the grass and or in mud, hard mud or hard dirt. Like I said, I have big feet, and some of those are bigger than my feet. And it's not a double step of bear trap. Bear tracks are easy to discern because they usually have claws on them. And somebody says, "Well, that's a double step bear trap where his front foot stepped on the end of his hind foot track, or hind foot stepped on the back of the front track."
Yeah.
But you usually can see the claw marks. But yeah, so we see a lot of stuff. As far as picture taking, so we see a lot of the silhouettes. Like people have the cutouts in the yard. I have one in my yard, by the way. But anyways, we see a lot of black silhouettes moving through the woods. And we were at our favorite spot, and it was me, Mary, JP, our friend JP, and the homeowner was there. And we were we heard something moving in the woods. Well, JP went out. He said, "Well, I'm going to try to push him past us." So he went out there and we heard something and we briefly saw a shadow. So I yelled at JP. I said, "He's heading for the north side of the woods." Well, JP came out of the woods, circled around and cut in the north side. And I heard him coming. And it was me, Mary, and the homeowner were standing there. And we credit Todd with finding the windows, so to speak, we call them, where they stand back and they watch us at the firing. So it's kind of like a window through the brush. It's not a deer trail. It's just that they got the brush cleared so they could have a good look at us or the back of the house and stuff.
Yeah.
So anyways, I could hear it heading for one of those windows, and I yelled at the homeowner. I says, "Camera now there," or something to that. I pointed, and just as I pointed, it stepped out, and she snapped a photo of it. And it was just a silhouette. That's what it looked like. It looked like the shadow person or whatever. I don't know what it was. Pretty confident it was a Bigfoot, though.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, that was the day that JP was, or the Bigfoot was running in one direction, and we would say, "Hey, JP, it's over here," and he'd run there, and the Bigfoot would run the other direction, and we'd say, "It's over there," and they were just crisscrossing back and forth.
They were flushing them around, and we did finally see something. We did get a quick photo, but nothing really discernible. But it was kind of fun.
It was.
Yeah. So the three old crippled people were standing there watching it run by. And
Yep.
JP's running around the woods.
Yeah,
But he's
JP
Canadian.
was,
He's Canadian. He's different. You know how they are.
that's right. Yeah, JP was on here, what, 2 weeks
2 weeks
ago.
ago.
Yeah, a week or so ago. Yeah.
Yeah, he is a very dedicated researcher. I'll give him that.
Yes. Yes,
He's
very
the
much.
only one that slept in the woods over there where we have all this activity.
Yeah.
Slept on the ground in the woods
By
and
himself.
by himself. And it's like, well, number one, they got tons of bears over there. Okay. I'm sure a bear would jump in the sleeping bag with me and cuddle with me or something.
Yep.
And yeah, or a raccoon. I'm sure a raccoon would do something. But there's a lot of bear activity. That's the main reason I carry a firearm is because of the dang bears.
That's for sure. Yeah. It's about the only reason I carry up there because yeah, Bigfoot, no problem. Bears, no thank you.
Bears or even the raccoons. You get a mean raccoon will give you a hard time. Coyotes are getting pretty brave up here too.
Are they?
Yeah. So people don't hunt them enough. I hope we never get like California where they carry off small children and stuff, you know, because they don't let people hunt around most of the areas, and them and those damn cougars or whatever the hell they are, mountain lions.
Mountain lion, yeah.
Yeah, you see them taking down a jogger every once in a while. Last thing I saw, I think it was a bike rider who got nailed by one, got knocked
Really?
off the bike.
Oh wow.
But anyways, it's a good idea. My throat's good.
Yeah, grab a drink.
Yeah, I got it right here.
Wet your whistle. Now, from what I remember from the Finding Bigfoot show, you were talking with Cliff alongside the road, and he was joking. Bigfoot got back or something like that.
Yeah. Well, that was funny because I'm not quite remember what I have it downstairs. I can't remember. Yeah, I said I saw the south. No, hold on. I saw the west side of an eastbound Bigfoot. So he said, "You seen the butt?" And I said, "Yes." And then he said, "So you're a butt man too, huh, Dave?" And they, whatchamacallit, the director, cut. You can't say that. He didn't say butt. He said the A word. And so, you know, or man, you know, and it's like, so we're laughing. So he did that about 4 times in a row. And the dang, the guy that was not the producer, but he kept on saying, cut, quit it. And we were laughing and we couldn't stop laughing. But yeah, he was really interested. When they first found me, I was working at Allegheny Outfitters and everybody in town, you know, heard my story.
Mm-hmm.
And what they do, they go to the local watering holes, the local bars, and hey, is anybody, you know, have you seen or know anybody who's seen Bigfoot? So about the 4th or 5th person says, you got to go find they call me Grandpa Dave. My employer had 3 small children and they lost their grandfather. So I was the adopted grandfather. So I was Grandpa Dave. That summer we had like 5 days working out of 10 of us. And so I was Grandpa Dave because I was the oldest. But yeah, Grandpa Dave. So they come looking for Grandpa Dave. And the producer walked in the door and says, "Are you Grandpa Dave?" And I said, "Yes, I am. I understand you had a Sasquatch sighting." And I told him where it was and everything. And I took him and showed him where it was. So they said they want to film it because it's real easy.
Yeah.
But okay, when you hold on for a second, when you hit it again, it'll come on. Just push the button. Okay. Pain therapy laser. So the wife's using it.
Oh, okay.
I live with one of those. Those are my favorite thing. Don't look at that, Cindy.
Yeah, you don't want
That's
to
a laser. Yeah, she's shining on her hand. There's a pair of glasses in the box in there on my dresser. You're supposed to wear when you're using that thing, or close your eyes. But that thing, if you point it at your face, it'll go right through your eyelids.
Yeah, you'll blind
Yeah.
yourself. Oh my.
Yeah. But it works really well for most of my pain. Except I messed up my knee here last week, and here, put something over there because I'm seeing that out of the corner of my eye. Here, wife's gonna blind me instead.
Yeah, don't do that.
Here's a rag I just threw over there next to you. There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah,
That's good.
David is asking, have you ever had a dicey or scary experience with a Sasquatch?
Other than the time the Dogman thing kind of spooked me, but then the other thing I was surprised when the corn throwing incident. But no, I never. Camper in Ohio, screaming in your sister's. Oh, yeah. Thank you. It's a good thing I have wifey here. She's remembered my old stories.
Yes.
So when I was when I was a teenager, we were having camping at my cousin had a cousin had 1,000-acre farm, and another one had 100 acres, and they abutted along the headwaters of the Vermilion River. And so it was a river valley, and these things would travel the river valley, eating corn. Yes, we did. Well, I wasn't really scared. My mom was the one who freaked out. So we're in a camper, and we had this beagle. His name was Sam, and he was just like a beagle, obstinate, stubborn. If he would get away from you, he'd run away. If he got off his leash, he'd run away. So we're sitting by the campfire, and the frogs are all, spring peepers are all screaming and going, and all of a sudden everything got quiet. The dog totally freaked out. He wanted inside. We had I think it was a 24-foot camper, aluminum camper. So the dog, he just freaked out. He wanted to go in. So my dad let him off his leash, and he didn't try to run away. He ran right to that camper door, like, let me in. So we were sitting there, and we heard stuff along the creek or along the river there. We had a tree go over on us. What now I know it was a wood knock, but back then I didn't know what that sound was.
Yeah.
So we sat there until about midnight. I was watching my back. My back was to the river, and my dad's back was to a cornfield. Watching each other's back. And of course, we were armed, so we weren't really worried about anything. And so it got real quiet, and then we just got tired. Let's go to bed. So we went in the camper, and so there was 6 of us in the camper, and my sister had one of her friends with us, camping with us. So I was sleeping on the floor of the camper, basically. My brother was in the loft of the camper. Yeah, he did see it pass before all hell broke loose. So we hear this. Oh, that was another story, actually. Same spot though. She's getting ahead of us here. So this thing screamed. It was about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Ohio yell. The loudest Ohio yell you ever want to hear, which was only about 30, 40 feet away from a camper. He was in the cornfield across the little lane. He was in the cornfield. And I didn't hear the first one. I just woke up and just heard like the winding down of that. And my mother goes, "What was that?" And it and it wound up again. And everybody was awake, and we heard it, and it vibrated the camper.
Yeah.
I guess I was scared. I don't know. I know my mom was terrified. Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. And my dad says, "No, they own the night. We're not going out this camper, And I said, "Well, Mom, we got enough guns in here. I said, we got enough firepower to drop an elephant. If it messes with us, so be it." So basically we moved away from the windows, and we could hear it outside. And then it started eating again. We could hear it actually ripping corn and eating it. You hear crunch, crunch, crunch. So basically, there was a family of them. We found out the next morning when we found tracks and stuff by the river. But yeah, that was pretty exciting that night. We never did fall back asleep.
Wow.
But
What area of Ohio was
this
that?
would be Route 250. This property was south of Fitchville, Ohio. So that I think that's Huron County over there on the Vermilion River. It's Omega Road. Yay, Omega Road. So if anybody's out in Ohio, Omega Road, where it goes in Route 250 down in that river bottom there, just northwest of Route 250.
Okay.
And my cousin owned the property, and then the World War II generation died. I don't even know if the family still has the farm there because I haven't really kept in touch with my cousins over there. But the other one that had owned 100 acres had unfortunate divorce, and he lost that property in the settlement. He had to sell it. But yeah, several summers we had several of the things. What my wife was talking about was another time we had a family reunion, and so there was probably 20 of us camping there, and there was like a little picnic shelter, and there was a water well there, and there was electric at the picnic shelter. So we kind of circled around the picnic shelter with our campers.
Mhm.
And my cousin, Danny, my late cousin Danny, was camping, and his parents were there. But anyways, he was, he just got out of Vietnam, and he was in his Rambo phase at that time. So he's sleeping next to the fire. And so he woke him up was this creature. He was maybe 10 feet away. He was on the other side of the fire. He's laying on his sleeping bag, or in a sleeping bag right by the fire pit. And the creature had a stick and was playing with the coals of the fire. And all I heard was, "Who are you?" And so I woke up. Like, he yelled it, "Who are you?" And this thing takes off for the river, ran right next to our camper. So we heard him yell. So we're all in our combat sleep, so to speak, because we've always had stuff happen there. And this thing ran right past the camper. My brother was sleeping at was a little like a little bunk bed above I don't know if you remember those campers. They have the little bunk bed that folds down above the main bed.
Yes.
Well, he's like 6 feet off the ground. He has this one little window right there. So he was looking out the window, and the thing ran between him and the fire. And it was, that old camper, he was probably 10 feet off the ground. And that thing ran right in front of the window. He said, you saw a big old, he assumed that it was his head, a big shadow and I heard it go by. I was sleeping down in a different part of the camper, but it ran right by me. I could feel the footsteps. That's how big it was. And then we heard it splash through the river and take off. So then my cousin was sleeping on the floor of his parents' camper. He didn't sleep outside no more. But yeah, "Who are you?" is what I heard him say. Yeah, that was the same time that him and the kids saw it on the path. So they had this like logging roads, and we used to ride our bikes down there, and there's really nice woods along the river down there. It's like a private park. And so my brother and there was a bunch of cousins about his age at the time, which I'd think about 10, maybe 11, boys and girls. So they were all out in a bunch. They were riding their bikes. So they come around this dirt road, and there my cousin is. He had his rifle at port of arms. He had his rifle up, and he was backing up. And the kids come roaring around the corner. It's like, what's going on? And he says, "Turn around and go back to camp now." He's like walking backwards, pointing his rifle in that. He had I think it was an AR-15, which is kind of light for shooting Sasquatches, but better than nothing. Well, anyways, he was walking, because the kids were running around down there, so he was just walking and doing like patrolling, and he saw this thing standing next to a tree, and so anyways, he said, "Get back to camp now." And the kids like, "What?" They looked where he was pointing the rifle, and this thing let go of a tree branch. My brother says that he remembers seeing something big and black and a big black arm letting go of the tree branch. And then, so, and my cousin said, "Don't run. Go, head for the camp." And my cousin said he turned around. There was a cloud of dust. There was no kids nowhere. So all the kids saw it, just momentarily saw it. And because we were talking about it, and then they saw it. And then, so that was a big excitement that weekend. It stuck around. Yeah. But, I mean, we were cooking outside and stuff. I probably smelled the food. The kids, it was fall. There was corn. He had all kinds of food, all kinds of stuff. I mean, it was a really good area for it.
So nobody listened to the instructions of don't run.
All the kids saw was this thing, and they said, "We're out of here." My cousin said, "I turned around, and all there was a cloud of dust." kids tore out of there on their bikes. He says, "I thought it, he was thinking that was like a bear. If you would run, it might chase you, be an apex predator."
Yeah, it's possible that it would. Yeah.
The face, not really, because they're usually hiding. Mostly we notice the body parts.
Yeah.
We do have the homeowner that our research spot has a photo of one through a pine tree. Basically, most of the face is obscured, but what we see, or what we can make out with her photo, is it looks like a dark. We call him Blackie. We got 3 of them running around there. There's Blackie. He's about 8.5, 9 feet. There's Brownie. She's about 7.5, 8 feet. Then Whitey, and none of us have seen Whitey in the clear. All we see is a quick flash of white going through the woods. But Brownie, we've seen, but not close enough to see her face. But Blackie was behind a pine tree, sneaking up on the homeowner to get a look at her. And he didn't know that he was hiding pretty good, but he didn't know that, like, from his knees down, there's no branches. So she could see big furry legs coming up, sneaking up on her.
Yeah.
And she took a picture of it. And I don't know, I have a photo of it, but you don't have any of that, do you?
No.
But anyways, it's kind of hard to see. You have to really study it. There's no way I could take a picture of it with this thing that you would be able to make out what it is.
No. Yeah.
When you have it in your hands, and you're looking and staring, you can see what we're talking about.
Yeah. Dave
So
has a flip phone. So
yeah, I have a flip phone. Don't ask me to take a picture.
yeah.
I'm gonna get a candy bar. I'm gonna bring him home, and I'm gonna take him to the nearest bar and bet everybody $100 if Bigfoot exists. And they're gonna say no, he doesn't. I said, put your money up, and I'll bring him in. And I said, now you have to feed him. The running joke I got. Yes. But yeah, as far as the face, no, I didn't really get a good look at any faces other than for that photograph. So basically, we're looking at a gorilla type face. He's real dark, really black. He has big, huge, pretty good sized black eyes. And he has kind of a flat face, flat nose. You could see his eyebrow, the top of his lip, and it's kind of like he's looking through the pine tree, and it'd be kind of looking like this is what you see.
Yeah.
Not a full face, but just part of the face.
And that's usually the way it is with them. Yeah. They're hiding behind branches.
Yep. Funny experiences with them standing out. Mostly it's the people I'm with that totally freak out. Like I said, I'm kind of slow, and so I don't run. There's no reason for me to even try. You know, if it wants me, it's got me. What's
That girl that had to stop her car for that old one because he didn't hear her?
Oh, I don't know if this is funny, but yeah, that one side of my wife's here, and she's remembering stuff here.
Right.
She's heard all my stories. If something happens to me, just ask her. She can tell you most of them. So about 8 years ago, I had a girl that saw the. We were teasing her. It was the. She didn't believe, but then she seen what's the Rudolph Bumble. She's seen the Bumble, and this is over by where that girl had her rabbits raided, and she was going down snowy road at night, heading home after work, and this thing stepped right out in front of the car. And it stepped out, stopped, looked at her, and had this horrified look on its face. And she says, "It didn't hear me. I don't understand how it didn't hear the car coming." And so maybe he had an ear infection or something, I don't know. He was all white, yeah. And that's what you call it, the Bumble. She thought it was old, was why
Yeah.
he's white. His face looked old. So he was startled. So we
Yeah.
got there the next day, and me and my buddy, and we found some partial tracks because the top of the hills, the snow melted off. So we followed them up a ravine up into the uh, top of the hill, and then we lost the tracks.
Mm.
But yeah, there's general areas here. They like running the Allegheny River Valley. They like running the valleys. Well, the term ridge runner comes to mind. A lot of the voculations around here, we hear along the Allegheny River. They run the ridge tops. They go all over wherever they want, but game trails is used their usual right of way where they come through.
Mhm.
I next to my house, I have off the mountain. There's a creek comes down, and then about every 200 yards coming off this mountain, there's a creek. All the tracks I have found have been in those creek bottoms. They use the brush and or the creek gullies for cover. And so it's the only thing I come to mind. She was totally startled, and then she was embarrassed about it. And then I said, "No, what you saw was real." And then we found the tracks, and we showed her the tracks and stuff. So I said, if you want to believe in Bigfoot or not, you saw something, and there was something here. So you weren't imagining it.
Yeah. How long ago was that?
That was about 6 or 7 years ago.
Okay. And how far was that from our research area?
Oh, about 35 miles. It's on the Allegheny River Valley.
Okay.
So yeah,
Yeah.
we got
Yeah, I'm just
and we
thinking.
follow the creeks. My favorite one was I was at a Bigfoot festival, and a guy came up and telling me he saw one bow hunting. And so he's up in this stand, and this is over near Pittsburgh, Steubenville area. What is that?
Ohio. Yeah.
Yeah, Steubenville, but he was on the PA side.
Okay.
But anyways, he was hunting on this creek bottom, and he's up in his stand. He's bow hunting. Didn't have any firearm. He didn't have a firearm with him. So he's up in his tree stand along this little creek, and he hears something moving rocks in the creek. And it gets light enough to see, and he looks over, and through the mist, he sees a Sasquatch. And it's calmly walking down the creek, moving big rocks. And so he's eating stuff as he's going along. So crayfish or maybe salamanders. Well, anyways, he got almost even with him. He's totally terrified. He's scared because this thing was so huge. He reaches down, moves a rock, and I don't know if people know what a hellbender is.
Yeah.
Okay, so a hellbender, for those of you who don't know what it is a very large salamander that we have in the eastern United States. And they get about 18 or 20 inches long. They're pretty good creature. Hey, could you go get that stuffed one off my being a good wife? I have a stuffed one. A friend of mine makes. Bring me one of those Bigfoots too while you're at it. I have a friend that used to make dolls and sell them, and she used to always listen to my stories, and she makes stuff. I even have a doll of me. But anyways, I got one of those life-size hellbenders as a stuffed one as a kid's toy. Well, it's not really a kid's toy. It's pretty cool.
Really? Now that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but she's so anyways, he's in a tree stand. He sees him move a big rock. He pulls out a hellbender. So this is the hellbender. Let's see. There's my arm. So that's probably the biggest one that we've witnessed. I was working for the I used to hang around with the guys at the Forest Service, and they were doing a hellbender study. And that was probably the biggest one. And the girl that makes these was with us. So it's
that's
so,
pretty big.
Yeah. So anyway, so this thing reaches down in the creek, grabs this hellbender, and he says he takes the hellbender and he eats it tail first. He's chowing it down.
Oh.
And he didn't know what it was. And he got to the head, and he took the head and he threw it down. After he got done eating, he threw the head down. Well, he went over and looked to see what the heck it was. And then he realized it was eating a hellbender.
Oh my goodness.
He watched it eat a hellbender. So it was going down the creek, still cruising, eating crayfish and stuff. It was gone 2 hours before he felt brave enough to get out of his stand.
Yeah.
So after that, he always carry a firearm with him. He says, I don't know if it would stop it, but it makes me feel good. And then she made these here. She was selling these at Allegheny Outfitters when I worked there.
Oh.
This is my Bigfoot doll here. So little kid's doll. And then the hellbender thing. And then she made owls and stuff, all kinds of different things. Nature.
She should
things.
make those for the Bigfoot Festival.
Well, I don't think she makes them anymore. She's more into painting now.
Oh.
Her name is Ellen Paquette, and I can't remember the name of her husband's first name. His last name is Paquette, and he's a renowned world painter, and he lives up here near us. All of his paintings are in what do you call those places? The United States federal government bought a bunch of them in the when you're in a foreign country, come on here, Dave. What? Yeah, ambassador. The ambassador's residence is.
Okay.
Yeah, and so they have them all over the world. He still paints. But that's probably the biggest claim to fame that I've seen. If you're into art, you'll know who he is. I'm not into art, but I know a few artists. But
yeah.
So yeah, I didn't know he was world renowned.
Yeah.
He just lives up the road here on top of the mountain. But yeah, so it's her husband, and then she's getting into different paintings too. And I don't know if she's making. I haven't talked to her. I haven't seen her since last year, so I don't know if she's doing any more work like that.
Yeah, that hellbenders. That's pretty good.
She loves hellbenders. That's her favorite animal. She thinks they're so cute. We had one up here at the Audubon Society. I think it was in New York, had one on display. And I think she lived up there. She just loved. She'd stop in there just to see it. It's a giant salamander,
Yeah, I know over at I think it was Beaver Creek State Park in Ohio. They had a hellbender festival, And now this is a few years ago, but I remember they had a Hellbender festival at some point in time.
Yeah. Yeah, they're usually rocky streams like we have up in this part of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Towards the western part in Ohio, you get more muddy streams, and they don't
Yeah.
seem to do too well there. But we have what is called a relative of it, the mud puppy.
Yeah.
So they have the ones with the gills on the outside of them.
Okay.
Lake Erie, I used to work at a waterworks, and they used to come in. Sometimes we catch them in our screens, intake screens that would catch fish and stuff. We get mud puppies, and yeah, and people don't know what they are when they see them, and they totally freak out. Unfortunately, me at the time, I'd get them, and people would leave their lockers open and stuff, and just put them in the locker.
Oh no.
I got in trouble a couple times. The girls really don't like them either. When we first started having women come around, so I'd place them on tables and stuff, or set them on a chair. They're deceased, they're dead, but
That's rotten.
several times, several people wanted to kill me. So
No.
I had fun. We had fun. And then with the ghost, we had our waterworks was haunted, and nobody really paid attention to what was going on. And I would explain to people, did you hear that? Did you just see that? And then people start noticing, yeah, what is that? I said, well, that's a ghost. And we used to. So the girls I usually worked with, was 2 buildings in probably 5-acre waterworks. Or more, maybe close to 8 acres, the total sprawling complex. So we were hardly ever together. We'd meet up maybe once an hour. And so when some nights we get a lot of ghost activity in there, and I point it out to the girls. And next thing I know, I hear footsteps behind me. I turn around. It's like, what are you doing? She goes, I heard something. I saw something. And this is like, I've worked with 3 women over the years, and all 3 of them just got spooked out.
Oh.
I said, it won't bother you. There's nothing here that's going to bother you. I said, these entities, whatever they are, they're here. They're working. They're still here. This was their most important job they ever had, and they evidently loved it there. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Apparently so. Now our research area is also haunted.
yeah, it is.
There's some not just Bigfoot activity, but there's some there's other paranormal activity
Yes.
there also.
And then that one time, so we're heading into what the hell is that? What's that place out west? The ranch.
Oh,
Skinwalker Ranch.
Walker, yes.
So we're heading into Skinwalker Ranch territory sometimes over there.
Yes.
So we have the spirit lights, and then just different things happen. I was there. So this house I've seen twice now. I've seen Sasquatch looking in the window watching TV.
Yep.
I don't know if I told that story last time. But also, I was sitting there waiting for the Sasquatch to come, and so I'm sitting in the chair by the door. Mary knows which one I'm talking about.
Yep.
And the guy that owns the house, Rich, he's sitting across the living room in his easy chair, snoring away. So I'm just watching the windows, looking back and forth, watching for eye shine, looking for faces.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there, and I hear a chair moves. And I look into the dining room, and I see a chair moving, like somebody's pulling the chair out to sit down at the dining room table. And I looked at that, and my hair standing on end now talking about it. So I got up, went over, and sat down on the chair. Well, they pulled the chair out. Maybe they want me to sit down there. So I sat down on the chair, and I sat down on a cold spot. I'm going, I'm sitting on a ghost.
Oh.
So
Yes.
yeah, I stood up real quick, and then the cold sensation went away. So
Yeah.
I don't know what the heck happened, but yeah, that was probably my most memorable experience. Oh,
Yeah.
it's good. The wife is good. Good to have the wife here. Um,
Lou does the same with me. I'm always forgetting, and
yeah,
he's there, reminding me, oh,
yeah,
tell him about this.
yeah. I'd put her on camera, but she would probably kill me. So,
You
but
have a
anyways,
lovely wife.
yes, she'd probably whack me with the lamp if I did that. Um, so another time, I think this was the first time I ever stayed there. So I've been going there about 6 years, 7 years. So I get there, then they're telling me about the Bigfoot and all the activity, and then they're telling me about the ghost activity.
Mhm.
So we're sitting there, we're sitting in the dining room, hard wooden chairs. I got bad hip, uh, bad everything. So
Yeah.
we're sitting on those hard chairs, and I start getting my pains, my fibromyalgic pain attack. I said, "Hey, I got to get off these chairs. Let's go sit in the living room." So we're sitting down in the living room talking, and in the kitchen, the dining room kitchen area, we hear poink, 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 and it's like, what was that? And the homeowner, Robin, stood up, and there's like a half wall between the living room and the dining room. And she says, "Look," stand up, pointing towards the kitchen. So me and Rich stood up, and we looked. Every cupboard door was open, every drawer was open. And then they had grandkids, so they had child latches on the bottom drawers. They were all open. There was no way a cat, air pressure, anything else was going to open all those things. And it's like, whoa. So the ghost said hi to me. They greeted me. Um, I don't get too spooky there. Me with spirits, I know they're there. I have a feeling that they're there. I'm not terrified of them. I never ran into a bad one. So I haven't run into bad spirits or any bad Bigfoots. All my houses I lived in, except the one I'm in now, this log cabin that we built when we retired, have been haunted. So I've been with spirits my whole life. So yeah, so that's and another thing there that one time it was just a real funky feeling I was getting outside. Um, if you remember, take a compass with you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we had the old spinning compass thing happen. And it's
Uh-huh.
like, whoa, look at that. So it's magnetic field. And this is the whole thing is, oh, watch Skinwalker Ranch. And no, I rather not. I
Don't
got
need
enough
to.
things. I got enough things going on.
Yeah, don't need to watch that. We got it right here.
Yeah. And then me and Todd, we were staying, it was wintertime. It was right after Christmas, actually. So there was some snow tracks, but by the time we got there, they were gone. So we stayed overnight. Um, I think that's the time that it came up to the camper window and left those prints when I was sleeping.
Yeah.
Uh, so it walked up to the camper and was peering in, trying to peer in the window at me. I was only 2 feet away from that window. And left. Todd got some good DNA off of that.
Yeah.
Snot, spit, and sebum off the hands. But we just a bunch of weird stuff.
Yeah.
But it's. I mean, if it's all connected, I don't know what's going on. Then we had our UFO sighting. I'm going to call it a UFO because I don't know what else it could have been. So we were there. It was wintertime, was snowing. Me and Todd are outside at midnight, and so we were hearing things in the woods. He's trying to film with his FLIR camera, and so he's filming, and I had my scope out, and I was looking, and I didn't see anything, and it was really cold, and the batteries don't last very
No.
long when those things get cold. So I looked down, unzipped my coat, and I put the FLIR in against my body, shut it off, and to keep it warm.
Mm.
And I'm looking down, and all of a sudden I noticed that the snow all around us was green. And I'm looking down like, what is going on? And I'm looking around, and I look up, and up above us, there's this big green fireball. And it was going very, very slow. It was no meteor. It was just like putzing along, like, what am I looking at? Well, anyways, I look up. I said, Todd, camera up now. So he flips his phone up to film it, but it was on the FLIR mode. It didn't pick up any heat.
Oh,
But we watched it go down, and it went over to the that would be the northwest corner, over where that swamp is.
Yeah.
And I told him, I says, that damn thing landed in that swamp. And Todd says, no, that's just it was on the horizon, and it's just a trick from the atmosphere and stuff. It didn't land there. So we're out there for about another hour, and I happened to look over towards the swamp, and the swamp's all green light shining in the trees. I said, Todd, look. And he's gone, oh my God. I said, ET's over there. And yeah, we saw that light in there, and it's like, that was really weird. But it was so slow. It was moving so slow. I've never seen anything.
You probably sank in the swamp.
I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, Tara is in the audience now. She
Hi,
says,
Tara.
hi.
Yeah, we took Tara over there she's our spooky person that has one of the couple women I know that have spiritual connections.
Yeah.
Usually if I feel something, Tara or this other girl I hang around with, she can pick up on me. All I know, if she tells me tell me to run, we run. But yeah, that was a spooky thing up at the it's called the Struthers Library Theater. It's an old theater built in the 1800s down in Warren. We had a ghost thing happen there with my other friend.
Mm-hmm.
Love you too, Tara. So, and then Tara, I think it was last year and a half ago, whenever I met her, and I told her, come on over. I said, I got my senses are growing stronger. Good. And so I told Tara, I said, I got a stick structure on my property. My son found deer hunting, and she came over, and I wanted to see how good she was. There's Todd.
Yep.
And so she came over, and so I took her back to show her the stick structure, and I didn't show her stuff. This is a stick structure, and I didn't show her anything. And she was a good tracker. I said, well, you're really good picking up on the tracks there. She found a twist stick where evidently it sat down. You know how they like to play with the sticks? A little tree. It basically wound the tree out of the ground, and she found some hair, which I think might have been coyote hair. But she did really good. So
yeah, I like taking Tara along, on explorations, and she's great. She really is.
yeah, it helps having that connection.
It really
I
does.
feel things, but she hones in right on them.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing with my other friend. I've never had her Bigfoot hunting, but I had her on like that theater thing and a couple other things where we have the festivals also kind of.
Yeah.
Yes, Tara had fun in my creek. We found some what I tell my grandkids dinosaur rocks. Basically, those little seashells and fern type petrified stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes we find petrified wood out there too. But yeah, so it's all good fun.
It is. And that's the important thing right there. As long as you have fun at what you're doing, and
yeah, we had fun. We usually go to the research site and cook out and eat like pigs, and at least I do. Yeah, we had a lot of fun, and it's great being around everybody, and
It is.
and yeah, and we get to experience weird stuff together that nobody believes us. Like,
Doesn't matter if any believes us or not.
no, I don't care. My son, he's my worst critic. But anyway, we still have
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, he's the one with the new FLIR, huh?
Yeah, he's got the $3,000 FLIR that you see the deer's eyeballs at 150 yards. It's like, that's really weird. You can see their eyeballs from here. So yeah, I have
Yeah.
his old one. I have his old $600 one. That's only good for about 100 yards. And
Well,
in fact, I believe Todd is heading over to Marionville tomorrow.
yeah.
And Todd, if you're listening, bring a computer so we can download my FLIR footage onto a bigger screen so you can view what I've been talking about. So we had, I think I talked to Mary. I don't know if Tara knows, but we were there and she was getting what she thought was tree peaking. Boy, that was hard to say. Tree peaking activity. So I was filming the same tree where Robin was picking it up on her FLIR. And so there's 30 minutes of me pointing this thing at a tree and not picking anything up.
Mm.
But behind the tree, out in the field, at the very edge of the FLIR, you see something move across that field. Now, JP put it on his computer. He says, I'm thinking bear. I says, it reminds me of a buffalo. And I said, why couldn't it be a Sasquatch on all fours? Because the way it's shaped to me, and some people think it's a quad. But I said, number one, there's no lights on. Number one. Number two, we didn't hear anything. We would have heard a quad at 70 yards.
Yeah.
Of course, my spoiler son pointed out, well, Dad, they make electric quads, you know? And I said, yes, they do. And I says, but there was no lights. And he says, Dad, military helmet with the goggles. I said, boy, you're really sticking a sock in this one. He said, well, think of it this way. He said, maybe it could be poachers. It could be some other Bigfoot nuts running around out there too. I said, yeah, I didn't think of that.
It's possible. Yeah, very possible. But yeah, no, I'm interested in seeing that picture.
It's not nothing earth shattering or anything, but it's just weird
Yeah,
that we didn't hear it. We didn't see it. That's the main thing. I would have heard a quad at 70 yards. I got good hearing still.
Yeah.
And didn't hear that. Didn't hear the crunching of the gravel if something was rolling over the gravel. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think any self-respecting four-wheeler would go up there in the Allegheny National Forest with an electric quad.
All I know is if you get stuck, you got a long ways to walk.
Yes.
Oh, they're quiet. They might, some of them have like 60, 70 mile ranges, but all you need is a little bit of glitch in that battery or something, and you're going to be walking.
Yeah.
So.
Trying to see if there's any other questions here.
Well, how many people are you pulling tonight?
There's quite a few here. I don't know exactly how many. Let me see if I can go on to. Let me get onto the YouTube channel and see.
Well, I didn't want to make you work. I thought maybe I don't know nothing about this stuff. And you just look up and tell him, look on the screen.
Yeah, unfortunately, the one doesn't tell me.
We get tired. We were running around all day today and working it.
Yeah. Hmm.
Found the yard.
I don't know, guys. Can oh, okay. Melvin says 27. And I know that there have been some people that dropped out because there's another podcast that came on. So yeah, people are pretty loyal to each other.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, it's fun to watch. Plus, you can watch this later, right?
yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah. Right.
definitely.
So yeah, it's like flipping. I'm a guy. It's flipping TV channels to see what's on the best.
That's right.
This guy's talking about, you know.
Now,
Yeah, man.
have you? Oh, okay. Yeah, Pat says there were 38 at one time, a little bit earlier, but
Yep.
27 right now.
Cool.
Yeah, it's
pretty
still
good,
pretty respectable,
Yeah.
yeah, at least for
Hey,
mine. I'm
hey.
happy.
Yeah, the biggest one I was on was this guy out of Ohio, and I don't remember his name now. I think Todd talked to him before. But so he's over where I experienced my Ohio stuff, and they still having stuff going on out there.
Yeah.
And I don't remember his name, but it's two guys. The guy was doing the podcast, and he's friends with two brothers, and both of them are judges in this county out there, which I think might be Huron or Ashton County. I can't remember. Two brothers that are both judges in the county. And my favorite story is, so I was talking to the one guy, and so he came out on a podcast someplace, and he talked about his Dogman sighting when he was a teenager. And both him and his brother were running for re-election in the same county at the same time. So his brother yelled at him, like, "You nut, you're going to scare people away. They're going to think we're nuts and blah, blah, blah." So the brother, the judge that was on the podcast, got 70 more votes than his brother did. And I says, you got the Bigfoot vote.
Yep.
But out there in lower upper Sandusky area, there's like an Indian mound there.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of weird stuff going on. And he was a teenager. He saw a dog man up close, very close, actually.
Really? Wow.
So yeah, so it was pretty cool. I love that story though. It's like, you got the Bigfoot vote.
Now, talking about Dogman and up in that area, I received a report. Now, this has been about, I don't know, about 10 years ago or so. A lady was camping with her family up in that area. And she said that where their camper was up in the corner by the woods. And she said her grandson was running around. He ran over by the woods. And she said she saw or heard something growling. And she says she snatched up her grandson and just said she'll never camp there again. So
yeah, we got bears out there now. We didn't have bears in the day.
yeah.
Now we got bears out in Ohio, so they're
Yeah.
I don't know what they could have run into. Not 5-10 years ago, there would be no bears out there. Just in the last few years, we're starting to get bear encroaching into the Ohio area where I
Yeah.
used to. And then I'm still getting stories from my dad and other people that run in the police officers and stuff that are retired now that are talking about the weird stuff that went on back in the 70s.
Finally.
Yeah. Well, they're no longer employed, so they don't care.
Yeah.
So then, plus they're getting older. They want to tell somebody that they actually believe them, that they actually saw something.
Yeah. Now, from what I remember out in Ohio and I think here in Pennsylvania also, whenever the police run into a Bigfoot or see a Bigfoot while they're on duty, over the radio, they refer to the Bigfoot as black cows. That
Yeah,
it's a
that too. Black cow. Yeah,
yeah, black cow report.
on two legs. Yes,
Yes.
black cow on two legs.
Yep.
Yeah, that's funny.
Now,
We had
have you run into any of the policemen who saw that? Remember that UFO that came across Ohio, and the police were chasing it?
yeah, that was Indiana, Ohio,
Yeah.
and where did it go into West Virginia? I can't remember. It was like 3 or 4 states they were chasing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I never talked to any of those guys. I'd
No.
love to. I
Wow.
would love to. The only one that I've talked to, I mean, we get people around here that tell me of their UFO stories and similar to mine, a big light and stuff. Oh yeah, the best one I have. I know I haven't said anything about this on your podcast. So I'm working for Allegheny Outfitters back in the day. I've probably been out of there 5-6 years. Well, anyways, so what we would do, we would put people on a North Country Trail. So they park their car, say
Mhm.
like over on Route 66 down by Marionville, and I'd pick them up, and then I'd drive them up to the state line here, up on the other side of the reservoir over there, across the reservoir from Onaville. I can't think what it's called. So we drop them off there, and then they do a 50, 60, 70-mile hike. So it was a younger couple, and I was dropping them off, and the whole time I'm jabbering away about Bigfoot stories, right? And so I get up there, and it's okay, you guys, have a good trip, safe trip, and everything. I says, do me a favor. I says, when you get back to your car, and you're headed home, and you get cell service, I said, please text me or call me to let me know you got out of the woods. I says, because I kind of worry about everybody, being out there.
Yep.
So, plus another reason is in case they did see something, they'll tell me the story. But anyways, so I get a call, and it's in the evening, and I get a call. Hi, this is so and so. You dropped us off the other day. I said, oh yeah, how many Sasquatches did you see? Oh, we didn't see any Sasquatches, but we did see something else. I said, what'd you see? We're camping above the reservoir. We could see the reservoir, and we could see boat lights on the reservoir. So it was like 2 or 3 in the morning. I don't know what they were doing, but they were up, and they happen to look down at the reservoir, and they see this weird looking light going down the middle of the reservoir. I says, so what was it? She says, well, the weird looking light was weird because it was underwater. And I
Oh.
said, what? She says it was going underwater, and it gets abreast of us. And then the weird looking light started getting bigger. So that area of the reservoir where they're at is probably 150 foot deep. So whatever this thing was coming up from the bottom. It came out of the water. They were about 250, 300 yards away. They could hear the water coming off of this thing as it came out of the water. And then it slowly rose straight up, and they laid down on their sleeping bags, and they watched it just float up into space until it disappeared. I said, that is the coolest UFO story I ever heard.
That is. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
And it was a big green light, and what me and Todd see, big green light. And my ex-employer actually had a picture of a big green light over the Kinzua Dam.
Yeah.
Was hovering over this Kinzua Dam. That's a electrical generation station there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, people
Now,
see.
I
It's
wonder,
common.
because there's that green light, and you said your boss saw a green light, and then Todd and Robin and you
Yeah,
saw the green light.
yeah, they're all over the place.
What the
And then
heck?
we saw in Ohio, um, over Lake Erie. God only knows what the hell's over Lake Erie. A couple of times we've seen green lights and stuff, but we don't know what we're seeing, or too far out over the lake. But I don't know what we're seeing. Who knows? I don't know. It's all interconnected.
Yeah. Yeah. Tara
Yep.
says,
Tara, yeah. There's
yeah.
a guy that the guy that Denny. Do you know Denny? Denny Bigelow.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, he's got some weird stuff. Okay,
Oh my goodness.
really, really weird stuff, and
Yes.
he hangs around up there at the reservoir. So,
Yeah.
green light. My
Mhm.
favorite. I think he was talking about dinosaur. So
Okay.
I said, okay, I'm not telling you you saw something, but
Yeah.
bring enough gun. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. He's got some really, oh my goodness, his stories, what he's experienced. I truly don't know how to take it, but my goodness,
It's some weird
portals.
stuff. Oh, I got another UFO story from the reservoir.
Okay.
My boss's uncle, he's in his 80s now, told me this story. So he was the littlest of, I don't know, 8, 9 children.
Mhm.
And so he remembers this because he got to carry a gun around. So they lived in Kinzua, which is underneath the reservoir now. They've chased everybody, they took the Seneca out of there and, you know, took the whole town out, and it's under the reservoir. Well, they lived on the edge of there. In fact, their farm, the area where their farm is still above water, but it's in the floodplain, so they bought them all out. Well, they didn't. They took it by eminent domain, actually.
Yeah.
So, this happened in the 1930s. So the kids are running around outside. It's getting dark. They see this big orange red light in the sky, and it's slowly coming down. So it's slowly coming down, and it lands in their hayfield. So he said it was about the size, a little bit smaller than a small house, maybe like a cabin size.
Mhm.
He says it came down and looked like a big Christmas bulb, glass Christmas bulb, and it was shining light. So they ran in the house. Look at. So Dad, underwater cave says, no, that's another whole. She's going off on a good tangent. Oh yeah, the big giant snake lives down there too.
That's right.
That's right. The Seneca great horned serpent.
Mhm.
But anyways, um, so the dad got everybody in the house. He says it stood out to him for one thing, he got to handle a gun. Another thing, he's only like 5 or 6 years old. The only time in his childhood that he remembers them locking the doors. They closed the windows and locked the windows, and they closed and locked the doors. He said they never did that. Never did that. And so this thing's lighting up, the whole farm,
Mhm.
and all the animals, the cows, pigs, chickens, and everything's raising hell. And the dogs are barking and whining and everything. So Dad loaded up all the firearms in the house and scattered them among the house there. Kids don't touch this. So we didn't touch it. But we kept on watching the light. And so when he went to bed, the cows, all the animals got quieted down, but the light was still in the field. The big Christmas bulb was still in the field. And so then he finally fell asleep. And I guess his dad stayed up all night. But sometime during the night, the big light disappeared. The Christmas bulb disappeared. So they went out the next morning at daybreak. His dad didn't sleep. Got all the boys. Everybody got a gun. We're going out to see what the heck happened. So they did a head count. They didn't lose any animals. Everybody was accounted for, even the cats. And he went out there, and he said there was an impression in the hayfield where this thing was sitting. So that's came from that would be the east side of the reservoir where their farm was located. So
Well, yeah,
yep,
that entire area. It's I remember Johnny Cash, his
yep.
song, about Kinzu.
As long as the green grass shall grow.
Yeah, as long as the grass shall grow.
Yep.
It's sad. It truly is. It's a sad area. Um,
Well, it's
yeah,
always been haunted. I mean, the Buckaloons massacre. That's probably one of the great stories. I told you that story. I
yeah.
don't know if you want me to relate that to your
Please,
viewers. It's up to you.
yeah, please do. Yes.
It's a non Bigfoot story, but it's
Hey, this my channel is about everything, so you go
well
right.
then good because ghost stories work really good.
Yes.
So there's a campground up here on the Allegheny River. It's called Buckaloons. Now the Buckaloons is it is Broken Straw Creek comes down and comes right through there where the Buckaloons is and meets the Allegheny River. And there's a flat floodplain there. In the day before the dam, that routinely got flooded in there. So the oldest Native American artifacts found there, because it's rich in Native American artifacts, um, was Adena and Hopewell culture.
Oh.
So somebody's been staying there, living there, camping there at that campground for thousands and thousands of years. So, anyways, this story involves the Seneca and the Erie Indians. Now, those who are not familiar with history, the Seneca and their allies, the seven nations, seven, ended up as seven, but it used to be six. Well, anyways, they waged war against the Eries. They totally destroyed them. It was a Holocaust, basically, Native American against Native American. But anyways, that happened in this late 1600s. By the time all the Eries were gone, they were totally eradicated.
Mhm.
But this story involves it started in 1600, and the reason we know about it is because there was the black robes. So we had the Jesuit priest here trying to convert the Native Americans to Christianity. So the black robes were here hanging out with the tribes. They did not involve themselves in wars and stuff. They just kind of sat back and watched and tried to preach to people you shouldn't do that. But and so the Erie Indians were living at the Buckaloons area at that time. So it's called the Irvin Flats, a little town nearby called Irvin, but it's also called the so this flat area, this flood area, the Irvin Flats, and they call it the bean fields. Okay.
Mhm.
So the reason they call it the bean fields is because that was their main crop back then, those beans. And they grew corn, but you had a greater yield with the Three Sisters was corn, squash, and beans.
Mhm.
And you planted them in a mound, all three together. And the squash that they used was like a thorny bush, kind of kept some of the animals out of it. The corn, few corn stalks there, and the beans would grow up around the corn like a beanstalk.
Yeah.
So that was their agriculture. So they had a lot of good food there.
Yeah.
So they had Satika, Northwest Native Tobacco. Okay. So what happened was the Eries and the Senecas, like most native tribes, usually fighting with their neighbors over whatever.
Mhm.
And so the Eries were there, and they were very prolific there. They had a lot of food, that bottomland was so rich. It still is, actually. And so the Erie chief at the time, they don't know his name because it's lost to history, told the Seneca war chief at Kinzua, where the old town of Kinzua was actually called Janesa Dega, which is burnt house. That was Chief Corn Planter's home village.
Yeah.
But this was long before Chief Corn Planter. So burnt house village there. So the Erie chief approached the Seneca chief and said, hey, instead of us killing each other, why don't we get along together and live together? And he says, we have so much food down here. So this is the deal. If anybody tries to attack us, you will come to our aid. And if anybody attacks you, we'll come to your aid. Now, the Eries weren't no slouch fighters. They were a pretty good fighting outfit as fighters go. The reason the Senecas were so effective was they weren't afraid to fight at night. Some Indian tribes were, not the Senecas. So anyways, so they were sharing the food. They made this treaty, lasted 100 years. From 1520 to approximately 1620 is when this all happened. And so at the time, the Senecas, you could have more than one wife at the time. Became more of a matriarchal society after that. But at the time, you could have many wives. So the chief took, so every fall at harvest time, the Senecas would come down to get their food. So the whole village would come down, and they would, Eries would give them 1/3 of their food, and the Senecas would go back up, and that was their winter supplies. So they get down there, and the chief took his wives with him, and for whatever the reasons, the women decided that they wanted 1/3 of everything. They wanted 1/3 of the basket work. They wanted 1/3 of the pottery, 1/3 of everything. So there's a big argument between the two tribes. And the Erie chief told the Seneca chief, now listen, we've had this agreement for over 100 years, and you're only getting 1/3 of our crop, nothing more and nothing less. Get your food and get out of here. And he did. So he went back up to his village. Meanwhile, his wives were allegedly, of course, they blame us on women. The wives were, battering away that, boy, he really disrespectful. You should do something about this. Blah, blah, blah. So anyways, he gets back to the village, works himself into a rage, and he decides, we're going to attack the Erie village. Now, I have to interject this in here. Before the white man came, the Native Americans waged a devastating war upon each other, each tribe. What happened was when the white man showed up, down in Mexico, and then eventually United States, they brought with them the white man's disease, which was, of course, smallpox. Now, we as Europeans had some immunity built up to it. I mean, we could get the smallpox. We might get disfigured, but quite a few of us would still live. But the Native Americans here in the United States and the Americas had no natural immunity to it. And it ravaged them. It just wiped out whole villages. And so between, the 1492 and the mid 1500s, 3/4 of the Native Americans that lived in the United States were gone. They were deceased. So they had a population problem. So it changed the way that they made war. Instead of attacking each other and killing every man, woman, child, everybody, they said, hey, maybe we should stop doing this. We need some more people here. We need a little bit more bloodline. So the Native Americans at that time stopped waging total and complete war. They would still kill women and children if they were resisting, but usually they would capture them and marry the women and raise the children as their own, raise the kids as their own in their own tribal ways.
Mhm.
This pretty much happened all across the United States. So anyways, it changed the way they waged war. So meanwhile, here we are, the Seneca chief, who's enraged, decided that he's going to punish those Eries at the Buckaloons. So he attacked in force, and he was so mad, he told his warriors, you kill every man, woman, child, dog, everything you find, scorched earth. And that's what they did.
Wow.
So in that Buckaloons campground area, that village there, over 1,000 people were killed in that village. We know that because of the black robes that were with the tribes. I don't know the black robes plural, so I don't know if the Indy spared the Indian or the Erie's black robe or not. But anyways, this is all written down in a Louvre, it's a Louvre in France.
Oh, okay.
So this is where it comes from. I heard it from archaeologists. So this involves a curse. So the day that that happened and they attacked that village, a curse started. And this curse started as a great drought. And it lasted for 3 years. The Allegheny River dried up to nothing more than a muddy ditch. The thousands and thousands of pounds of fish that they used to live on was gone.
Wow.
All the game was gone. So all the native, the rest of the Senecas and other neighboring tribes, there was some Delawares running around here at the time too, blamed, the chief's name was Alquippa, the Seneca chief. They blamed Chief Alquippa.
Yeah.
You brought this curse upon us. You have to do something about it. And he said, oh, go pound salt. I don't have to do nothing, blah, blah, blah. So after 3 years of this horrible drought, this whole area was pine and conifer forest. And after 3 years of drought, this thing was nothing but a big tinderbox. And then what happened was in 1623, third year of the drought, there was a big firestorm through here and took out most of the remaining Indians and the rest of the game. And those that survived the big fire all got together, all the tribes and different tribes and the Senecas and everybody got together and they said, hey, Alquippa, you brought this upon us. You have to do something about it. So they had a big council, got all the, what you would call the shamans and everybody got together. What can we do to break this curse? So they decided that when you attacked the Eries, you disrespected them by killing all the men, women, children, and dogs. And you just teed off the gods. So what we have to do, so Delaware descendant. They were also good fighters, by the way. No slouches when it come to combat. But anyways, they got together and said, you disrespected these people. You just killed them, let them fall where they, just lay where they fell. And for a year after that massacre, that village was known as the village of stink because it smelled like death for over a year. So anyways, they figured out, well, since you disrespect them, we have to do something to appease the gods, appease the ghosts, appease the spirits. So they said, okay, this is what we got to do. We got to go down there. And this is the Senecas. They got to go down there and find all the remains that they could find and take them and bury them with respect. So they drug their canoes down the muddy ditch of the Allegheny, down to the village down there. And they searched the area and they found all the bones, all the remains that they could find that the animals didn't drag away. And the French black robe that was with him said that the pile of bones was bigger than a house.
Wow.
So they piled them up, loaded them on the canoes, and drug them down the muddy ditch all the way down to Tityute. Okay, or Tionesta. I'm sorry, Tionesta was where the highest spot in the area county down there. And when you're looking at the modern town of Tionesta, it'll be the northwest mountain on northwest corner of town there. And that was the highest, and that was the sacred hill. So they drug all the remains up there and they buried him and they prayed over him for 3 days. And then when they were done, they were walking back to go to Burnt House, Janesa Dega, which is in actually under the reservoir where above the dam there, just north of the dam. So when they were passing by the Buckaloons campground area, which was the village site, it started to rain. The curse was broken.
Wow.
So that's a Native American curse, and it was backed up by the French, in their journals that told that story.
Yeah.
So that's the story of the Buckaloon massacre.
Oh my
I was
goodness.
doing historic storytelling for my ex-employer for people would camp there and they want history storytelling. And of course, once I got into the Bigfoot, when are you going to talk about Bigfoot? When are you going to talk about Bigfoot? So my favorite story there is I usually save that story for one of the last things. And I tell everybody, you have a good night in the haunted campground. And I would leave. So then my next favorite story is, so it was Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts were going the way of the dinosaur anymore. Most of them are called adventure scouts. And because the churches don't like the diversity, they're doing this adventure stuff instead of promoting Boy Scout and Girl Scouts now.
Mhm.
So anyways, I get the adventure scouts. So adventure scouts are boys and girls. You're welcome. They showed up. So it was usually it's like moms and dads and daughters and sons and everybody. It's a pretty good time. So anyways, this one adventure scout group shows up and it's 2 college-age girls with a bunch of these kids. So I tell this story and they're getting all spooked out. And it's probably 10 o'clock at night in the summertime. And on the other side of the campground, there must have been an autistic person or mentally challenged person. I'm not quite sure what it was. But all we hear is this. And the kids are like, what's that? I said, that's probably one of those Eries running around with a tomahawk stuck in its head. And it goes, again. And it goes, no, really, what is that? I said, I don't know. Maybe it's zombies or something. And I said zombies. And those kids went ballistic. And this 21-year-old girl grabs me by my belt loop, grabs me by my collar, and bum rushes me to my car. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Here's your money. Get out of here, And so anyways, the best part is I put those people on the river that morning. So the next day, I had to pick them up down in Tityute. So I'm picking them up, and they're in a van with me. And half the kids are sleeping, and everybody's tired. And the girl sitting next to me, she's looking at me. She goes, you really screwed us up last night. None of the kids slept. People were having nightmares and everything. I says, my job here was done. Spooky fireside storytelling. So that's one of my favorite. And the other favorite one was, so there was a group of Boy Scouts there. The mom and dads were with them. And so I'm doing my storytelling, and then I get into the Bigfoot stuff. Well, what's Bigfoot sound like? I says, well, you can Google Ohio howl and listen to it. I said, that is probably the best and most easily recognizable call that I ever heard.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard it in Ohio quite a few times. And I've heard it probably, I've lived here 16, 17 years. I've heard it at least a dozen times here.
Mm.
And so they take all the phones away from the kids because they're in nature. So the one mom says, "Oh, I got it right here." And she plays it. Well, anyways, she said, "Well, I'll look it up." And then across the river at that moment, we hear this. Rah! The kids are like, "What's that? What's that?" Rah! I said, "What do you think it is?" "We don't know. What is it, man? Do you know what that is?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "That's a gray fox calling to its mate." So it's rah. And I go, rah, back at it. And it answers me. So we're doing this back and forth for 15 minutes. Kids thought it was great. So then the mom says, "Oh, I found the Bigfoot yell." So she plays the Bigfoot yell. And somebody had a Bluetooth speaker, put it on there, and they're really booming this, right? So it's, and other people in the campground had to hear it, And then they played it a couple of times, and the one kid says, "Boy, that really sounds spooky." And the one mom says, "And if I hear that answer from the other side of the river, I'm just letting you know I'm out of here." Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, it was not. Oh yeah. Cindy just reminded me. So we're standing. I'm getting ready to leave, and we hear this crash, boom, bang, smash along the river. And here's this raccoons, or I don't know what they were doing in that tree, but two of them come falling out of that tree. And these kids jumped up, and it looked like a Western fast draw. They all drew out their flashlights, and the raccoons are over there going like this, like try to hide their eyes from all the light. Yeah. And then in fact, those people called me. I went and story told for them last summer. They came back through. Some of them, another batch came back through. And I don't really story tell. With the way my health is and stuff, and it's a lot of work and stuff for me to do it myself.
Yeah.
But I used to enjoy doing that. If I had, and now with the insurance stuff, yeah, I used to do a flintlock demonstration and stuff like that. But I haven't done that in a few years. I did the Boy Scouts when they came through last year. Just they caught out of the blue. "Hey, you don't remember us, but we were there 12 years ago." Blah 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 blah. I said, "Oh yeah, I remember you guys."
Aw.
So yeah, well, it was actually some of the kids were there that were adults. They were there as adults. And it's like that's pretty cool. They had to. They were still with the same pack. It wasn't their kids, but they were still into the Boy Scouts. But it was
Oh,
fun. But
that's cool.
yeah, we're in and I told everybody. I think I said last time I was on your thing. The Seneca spiritual area is basically. So you start at Erie, shoot a line over to Salamanca, a little ways down to Bradford. Then you shoot a line from Bradford over to Oil City,
Mhm.
Oil City to Meadville, then back up to Erie. And that's the Seneca spiritual area. And that's where a lot of the tales and stuff come from. A lot of their legends come from, of their ghosts and hauntings and cryptozoological creatures. And Battle of the Stone Giants was a war they waged against big village of Bigfoots that were eating people. There's about 10 or 12 tribes in the United States that mention the Bigfoots being man eaters.
Yeah.
In Cherokee, Seneca, I can't remember all of them, but there's about 12 of them. So Seneca's one of them. And we're in the Seneca area behind you, messing around with Bigfoot. So, but none of us have got eaten up yet. So,
Not yet.
but yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a pretty cool area. Lilydale, the
Yeah.
spiritual people, they're located. That's why they located up where they did. They're in the
Mhm.
Seneca spiritual area.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to maybe save the story about the Bigfoot battle
Yes,
for
we'll save it for
the
another
next
time.
time.
Or
Yeah.
maybe when you do your camp over at the campground, I'll get up there and
Ooh.
I would like to camp up there, but I can't guarantee anything. But I'll come up the night anyways to Storytell and
Oh,
hang
I'd
out
love
with you
it.
guys. Yeah.
Yeah, we would absolutely love it. Oh,
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
I dug this up on Google. Let's see. See if wait a minute. Wait a minute. They're on a commercial right now.
Cool. I
Okay.
got to figure out next time to go out in some way to hold this damn tablet.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I'm not going to play the entire song, but
But yeah, that's the whole thing. He pretty much explains it all.
yeah.
When Chief Corn Planter went to Washington, um, to the well, actually it's Independence Hall in Philadelphia back then.
Mhm.
They brought a coach up and they picked him up here. Well, they didn't pick him up here in Warren. He actually took a boat down to Pittsburgh and they left Pittsburgh, but he came back on a coach.
Okay.
And they had a detachment of Army regulars with him because he waged war, on whites, and so he wasn't. There was he had a lot of enemies
Yeah.
among the white people, and not only that, during the Revolutionary War, a lot of people don't know this, but he had a contingent of Senecas. He fought against the British. Um, not the British so much as it was the Wyandots and the Ohio tribes. He fought. He had his own contingency. He had his a cannon. He and the Senecas don't talk about that much because it was war against the other Indians. But he had a contingency of warriors that helped during the Revolutionary War.
Mhm.
Actually fought against oh the Ohio Cindy, what's his name? The Tecumseh. Thank you. It was right on the tip of my
Some
tongue.
stuff.
That good.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
he fought against Tecumseh's federation.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
yeah, so there was a little bit of betrayal and bickering, and the Indians don't like talking about that.
Well, tell you what, Dave. Let's shut it down,
That
and
sounds good.
we'll save the rest of the stories for another
Camp
one. And for
campgrounds are another. Yeah,
yeah.
I got a lot of other history stories too from
Oh, I
around.
know you do. I know you
But
do.
Yeah. Yeah, George Washington was captured here by actually a corn planter. And
Uh,
all kinds of neat stuff nobody knows about.
yeah,
And he was under the knife, corn planter's knife 3 times, and he let him go.
really. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's pretty,
Fascinating.
yeah.
I love the that era, of time, the history, and it's just fascinating.
Yeah. And, very, very tough times for everybody.
Yeah, but yeah, the name of that song is it's called "As Long as the Grass Shall Grow," and that's by Johnny Cash. Just look it up on YouTube. You can listen to the rest of the song, but it's about the Kinzu area and the history of corn planter and
It was the
uh,
longest Indian treaty that the United States had, and it was broken in 1962, 63. I can't remember. I'm getting my dates wrong, but the Supreme Court ruled against the Seneca Nation. They took the land by eminent domain and they flooded it for the reservoir and the dam here.
yeah, very
So,
very sad.
yeah, and that was the longest lasting treaty. And I think we violated every treaty we ever made with any of those people. It's
Yeah.
bad. It's a bad thing. But anyways,
All right. Well, Dave, thank you.
you're
And,
welcome.
thank you to your lovely wife also.
Yeah, helping me keep up with stuff here. I've been going all day. I'm so tired. I'm barely awake. And
Oh,
yeah,
well,
so,
I appreciate it even more then.
yeah, we've been running around doing a lot of stuff and dragging butt right now. I'm going to go down,
Oh,
take a shower, eat
yeah.
something, and go to bed.
There you go.
All right.
Deserve.
All right.
Thank you, and we'll
Yep.
talk to you later or
All
tomorrow.
right. Yeah. Thanks everybody that listened through the end. All right. Good night,
Thank-
everyone.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for sticking around. And we ranged all over the place, but I know Dave, and he's a historian and a wonderful storyteller. So I knew that not just the Bigfoot stories, but ghosts and UFOs, as well as the local native history. And okay, let me see, Michael. Let me bring up your comment here. Chief corn planter in PA, chief cornstalk in West Virginia. Cornstalk supposedly cursed the area around Point Pleasant, home of Mothman. Interesting. Okay. All right. Thank you, Michael. Guys, I wanted to make sure, because I know that there was a little bit of, a few people were upset at me for canceling, for me not being able to attend the camp out this weekend. And, I do apologize. There's a few reasons, why that happened. But, number one, my health just isn't up to it. The weather, people were complaining, okay, it's just rain, and yeah, I've camped in snow. Weather didn't used to affect me. But, it's, yeah, hate to get into it, I truly do. But, I've spoken about this before. At the end of 2019, I had COVID, and I had it so bad that it affected my lungs, and my lungs are damaged. And so after that, it's gotten worse over the years. It's a 5-hour drive from here to where the camp out is this weekend. Plus, it's supposed to rain, I think Friday night and all day Saturday. It's going to be cold, at least cold for me, damp, and it will not be healthy for me. Not at all. And thank you, Amanda. Appreciate it. Yeah. I collect a few different things. There's my horse statues. I've got a bunch of stuff up on the shelves. But Pat, yeah, I know there really is no need to apologize. It's just there were some people who were not happy with me for not being able to go and backing out, after. And yeah, I went to a lot of trouble to arrange, the camp out. And I, thank you, Corky. Yeah. Excuse me. Wait a minute. I do. I take bromelain and something else, a couple other nutritional supplements. But yeah, and then at the last minute, I have to back out because I've been watching the weather and praying, please, let the weather be good and nice and warm. But unfortunately, nighttime it's going to be chilly, like in the 40s or 50s, and rainy. That will not be healthy for me, not at all. And along with the 5-hour drive back home, no. But in June, we have the camp out in the Allegheny National Forest. That's only maybe a 2-hour drive for me. It's not bad. That I can do. I will have no problem. It'll be warmer. And I appreciate that, Corky. Nicotine patch. Yeah, I didn't know that you can buy a nicotine patch. Just, I'm gonna have to check into that. But yeah, I do take the bromelain, and doggone, I can't remember what the other thing is that someone else suggested. To pull out the spike protein. But I appreciate it, everyone. And but it is what it is. And I hate bringing it up, but like I said, there were a few people really unhappy with me. And I'm not canceling the camp out. It's everyone who made reservations are welcome to go ahead, because there'll be other people there to camp and have a good time. There's local people coming, and I'm sure they'll have a wonderful time. And I just apologize, next time. I'd love to go to Michaud State Park another time. But good night, Loretta. Thank you for popping in and listening to us. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to drop that entire subject. I've gone on enough about it. And Tara, I hope so. I think that, let me see. Yeah, it's possible that JP will come also, and hopefully Todd. I don't know if Todd's still in here or not. Let me see. What was it that I'm trying to think of? Goodness. All right, let me get into the group because I'm blank. I'm tired and blanking out on names, which is okay. Let's see. Ben. Ben. It's possible that Ben will be there also. I hope so. At least maybe for one night. Okay. You were checking out the sites online. The gate isn't open yet. Oh, okay. That's strange because I thought that they usually do open like mid-April. But yeah, I think Dean was going to check on them also because Dean has been there. Hey, Duke, good to see you. Thanks for popping in. But yeah, we'll be camping out in June. Let me get those dates again just in case. Okay, no camping yet. Okay. Let's see. The dates for the June camp out is June 19th through the 22nd. That is in the Allegheny National Forest. And well, I'll just go ahead and say where it's at. It's going to be at Heart's Content Campground. And I hope that we get a good crowd. We've gotten a few reports for in there. And okay, it was a week ago when you checked. Well, maybe I know most of the campgrounds open like mid-April, so yeah, maybe check online. Don't unless you're driving in the area. But who knows? It should be fun no matter what. So we'll see. Tara, yeah, probably missed by a day. Guys, I tell you what, guys, make sure that you thank, and I do, I want to give a huge thank you to Gary Spikes. This guy, he bends over backwards and does such a fantastic job of reminding people to like and subscribe, and he keeps track of all the links to all the different channels, to all of our friends who run podcasts. And Gary, thank you. Aw, thank you, Todd. I appreciate it. Gary, my applause goes out to you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, he is. He's the GOAT moderator. Yes, absolutely. I agree. Okay, you'll be on Muddy Creek on Saturday. Great. Muddy Creek podcast. That's Miss Vicky's podcast. I put her on my schedule. She will be on here. Let's see. In May 28th. Miss Vicky from Muddy Creek Podcast. She will be our special guest on May 28th. And I scheduled a couple other people also. May 7th, I have Andy Nunez. He is from Maryland. he has written a book about ghost stories and so on, from a specific area in Maryland. He's also a good friend. I've known Andy for, I don't know, over 20 years. He and I belong to a fan club, basically. We're both fans of the author Edgar Rice Burroughs, who wrote Tarzan of the Apes, the entire series about Tarzan, and a couple other series, including John Carter of Mars, the Pellucidar series, and John Carson of Venus, and Moon, the Moon Maid, and quite a few other books. There's a whole group of us that we've gone to conferences and so on, because we're fans of Edgar Rice Burroughs, the author. But he'll be on, Andy Nunez will be on May 7, and special guest on April 30th will be a very good friend of mine, very good. His name is Fred Saluga. Some of you know Fred. Fantastic guy. Tons of experience researching not only Bigfoot, but ghosts and UFOs. He is, got to double check, he is, I think, a co-director of Pennsylvania MUFON. That's the mutual, wait, let me see. Yeah, MUFON. Can't remember what it stands for, but it's about UFOs. He's a director, I think, of West Virginia MUFON. So tons of experience in his research, and he's also former law enforcement. Thank you, Michael. He's a former law enforcement and policeman, police chief. Fascinating history, fascinating guy to know, and I am honored that he will be on our podcast next week. So got that to look forward to. And tell you what, guys, I'm tired. As you can tell, my voice is starting to go also. And I do appreciate all of you stopping in and sticking around. And I want to thank Dave for agreeing to come on tonight. And just fascinating stories. He's a fascinating man. I love Dave. He is just a good friend also, and a great researcher. But yes, yeah, Gary is posting all the links to all of our YouTube channels of the different podcasts. And yes, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and comment in here, share the channel. And I appreciate all of you stopping in and listening to my endless stuff. Yeah, Pat, he was great. Yeah, we love Dave. We do. Yeah, he's also from Ohio, as you heard, and but he presently lives in the Allegheny National Forest here in Pennsylvania. And but thank you all of you Thank you for stopping in. Thank you for watching. And tell you what, we shall see you next week, where Fred Saluga would be our guest again. All right. Thank you so much. Have a good night. And Monkey Wench out.